Hello, beautiful people. Hey, look, before I start this session, I have a big announcement to make. And, the documentary that's been in the works for a long time about my son Eric's life, it's almost finished. But in order to get to that finish line, the director producer Paola Marino needs some help. So she needs funds to cover all the professional fees that will be involved to bring the story to the screen, like a professional story editor, a music composer, a sound mixer, an illustrator, animator, etc., etc. Now, Paola created a crowdfunding page where you can donate whatever you feel comfortable donating. You can also donate by purchasing a 30-minute session with one of our mediums, or by purchasing an item from the Erik merchandise store, like the one I'm wearing. Saving the world, one prank at a time. It's an embroidered image, so it's really nice. So anyway, go visit channelingericdoc.com and take a look at it. This project is very near and dear to my heart. And one of my greatest wishes is to get the story out to more people so we can help more people. And I want you to go and see the trailer that's on the channelingericdoc.com. It's so moving. It's so powerful. It was my first reaction. It was a gut punch. But it says it all. So look at the trailer and let me know what you think. Thank you, guys. Hello, beautiful people, and hello, beautiful Michelle Gray. Her information is going to be on the screen and in the description box. And then hello, my beautiful son, Erik. This is a very exciting topic, right, Erik? I love you.
He says, yes, he says, hello, mama, and hello to everybody out there.
How are things in heaven, sweetheart? Not everybody on these YouTubes know that you're my son on the other side.
He says, doing good, mom. He says, busy. Really busy. Yeah.
All right.
He's been spending a lot of time with many of the peeps in the community.
Oh, good.
Helping a lot of people.
Oh, that's good. Hey, Erik, what do you think about our next project for the encoded crystals? Maybe making them into a necklace. What do you think about that?
Loves it. He loves it.
Pretty cool.
He says, Mom, this is great. He's been excited to see this come into reality for everybody.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay, so here we go. We got some questions from our beautiful community. Very brilliant. The mysterious drone sightings over New Jersey, Langley Air Force Base, and Virginia, Colorado, and Nebraska. And now you saw 8, didn't you? Yesterday or 3 days ago?
I did. No, it was last night. And
wow.
I was actually running into one of our stores because Paola was telling me that my audio needed some help.
Okay.
And she was giving me some suggestions to get an adapter, which I did. And so I was just running out in between sessions to go get an adapter. And I walk out and it gets dark here around 4:45 at night. And I heard it and I look up and I'm like, 1, 2,
whoa,
3, 4. I was like, that is crazy. And I will tell you, everybody was walking around like there was nothing going on. People were not even looking. I'm like, does anyone else see this?
It's weird because, the FAA decided to allow nighttime drone flying for civilians. So that could be part of it. And oddly enough, the only time there was not one reported was on Thanksgiving, which means maybe, to me, it's like, okay, then, what does that really mean? Does that mean that whoever gets that holiday off, is that, but it was civilians is playing, it seemed like they would be doing that on between football games on Thanksgiving. I don't know. Anyway, Erik, you demand us find out who is in charge of these drones. Are they alien or human controlled?
He's pulling up the chair, like he's getting real close here, and he's puts his hand under his chin. And he's like, well, he says, okay, it's a combination, because he says, let's talk about the ones that most people are seeing. And he's saying that are large size. He's actually saying, and I knew this because he answered this last night to me as well, the ones that I saw were individuals.
Okay.
They were not any group or anything. He says
What, manned or
yes,
remote control?
yes, manned.
People inside them?
No, remote control.
Oh,
Remote
okay, got it.
Now, he says the ones that most people are speaking of that are being seen and a lot of videos of, he's actually saying that they are part of a program. He says they are US based.
Dark program? In other words, a program that is special, secret, dark, that the usual lawmakers, etc., don't know about?
Yes. Yes. Now, he does say that, and he says, guys, this is not political as far as it's one side or the other.
Yeah.
This is, there are individuals throughout, and he says governments because he's showing me around the world that have awareness to a project, and he's calling it undercover. And he says that they're AI.
Okay.
AI. And he also says it's not the highest technology that they actually have. It's the one that they're rolling out.
Ooh.
So he says when many lawmakers are speaking, they really don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of them don't know. He says even within the government, this is like he's doing this like shh, very secretive.
Yeah. What about the president? Does he know? Biden?
Yes.
Oh, he does know. Okay.
Yes.
A state lawmaker said today that he believes they're offshore drones from an Iranian military ship in international waters. Is there truth to that, of any of them?
Yes, there is truth to that. There are some of those. Eric actually says there's 4 different kinds.
Oh, okay. What are those? There's the ones from Iran, ones from the U.S. military special projects.
Yes.
Or some, rather. Some are civilian.
Some are civilian. And he actually says there's some, he's calling them opportunists.
Okay.
And he's saying has lots of money. Okay. Opportunists, and that they're, he's calling it like cells from within, groups within that are using opportunity to survey, to do surveillance.
Are they foreign or domestic? Or both?
Both, because they're connected in both ways, he says.
Okay. Where is there, well, is there a home base?
There's several.
No, I bet, yeah.
Yeah.
So are there any that are aliens slipping in while this is happening and doing their own ships?
Yes.
And what
yes.
what's going on there?
So he says if you are hearing, he's talking about the sound. If you're hearing sound, and he's
not alien.
The lights, watch for the lights. It's not alien.
Mm-hmm.
He says that what's also happening and has been happening for a while, but there is an increase. He says there's different type of, he's calling it like plasma like orbs.
Oh yeah, I saw a video of one crashing into a regular drone, and the drone just drops from the sky.
And he says there's ones with intelligence. Now here's what's interesting, because he shows me that there's one that would be considered like he says it's protection. It's more of a angelic type energy. And that is a protection. And then he said there's another one, and it actually looks like an embryo. It looks like it's got like a holographic look to it. And he's showing it shaking at me. And he says, these are connected to the Galactic Federation. And he calls them viewpoints. Like they can see. They can view through them. And he says these are being spotted not in just one location around the world. And they're also well aware of the activity that's going on. And he's just showing me like this, there's a lot happening. There is a lot happening. Like this is a big mixture. And he says, that's why, okay, he says, just say it, Michelle. That's why people are so fucked up and so fucking confused.
I know. There's so many things,
so
pieces
much shit out there. Yeah.
Yeah. So the aliens, well, the Galactic Federation. Oh, by the way, I've been watching this channel called Astro Legends TV, and they were talking about the Arcturians, the Galactic Federation, and they said that they met with Trump. They met with others too. 1944, they had a meeting with, and they told him some stuff, and they said you're not to divulge this information, and Trump said okay.
Yeah.
So he knows about it, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, there's a lot that's known that's not spoken of. And what Erik says is he wants to address just this sense of fear, because there's so many different things that people are feeling and talking about. And he just said, your number one job is to have your awareness, but do your best to not step into that fear. Because he says it's the fear that's going to lead to chaos.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Galactic Federation, are they part of these sightings because they're trying to protect us, or they're surveilling, or trying to figure it out, or?
So what Erik just said, it's an agreement. It's an agreement. So they're fulfilling their part of the agreement, and part of their presence has a lot to do with us having more of an awareness, not as just individuals, but as a collective around the world, not just the U.S.
Of the presence of, yeah. Agreement. When you say agreement, are you talking about agreement with the government, agreement with other alien species, agreement with...
agreement with humanity.
Oh, with humanity. Okay. Did these drones come through an open, some of them anyway, come through an open portal and released, and maybe released from a ship in the water? Because some of them, they say, come from the sea, come from the ocean.
Erik is saying that some of them can move through the ocean.
Yeah.
Some of them can move through it, but he's not saying that you're necessarily like, that's not their point. Not the point where they're coming. He's not saying that they're moving through portals.
Okay. Now, when you say ones that can move through the water, are those ones human produced or alien produced, or both?
So there are some that do have some reverse engineering technology with them, and so but they're not operated by ET energy. Like it's not ET driven.
Are any of these drones coming from the once discovered hidden crystal city located in the Earth in the South Pole by Richard Byrd?
Erik says no.
Okay. What kind of technology were they developed with the help of extraterrestrials? So yeah, they were some of them.
Some of them, not all of them. Some of them.
Were they developed for good or bad reasons? In each of the 4 categories.
So Erik says, think of it as starting out as not being for, he's not saying good or bad, he's saying nefarious or not for, he's saying for control, really. That's what it developed into. So it's like the example he's giving me is, he says, imagine there is a project, and he's saying a group that is not known by the public, and he's showing them all over the place. So a project that you get good, honest people to sign contracts to, that have the intelligence to work and help produce something that they believe is going to help humanity.
Okay.
And then it's like, okay, we'll take it from here. And it's that's not the intent. That's kind of how he's laying it out for me.
Okay, but do any of them carry biological weapons, or any weapons for that matter?
He says that he's not saying biological weapons, but he is saying that there are some that have the capacity. Yes.
Okay, so the ones from the secret ops, the dark programs, what is their purpose?
Fear. It's fear. So what Erik is saying is the purpose of them coming out right now is really to survey the reaction.
Oh, well, they're trying to figure out what happens if there's full disclosure. Is that the point?
He says they know full disclosure is happening. So he says, think of it as trying to get out before humanity understands themselves, before humanity as a whole understands their own power. He says, think of this as stepping in and blocking that understanding. And so they're playing with how far can we push it? How far can we push it? And so what Erik says is, don't be surprised if this doesn't start to just fizzle away for a bit.
Yeah.
It comes in and comes out. And he says, and you might see some weird things going on, but he says there's data being collected. There's data. He says everything's being observed.
So what information are they trying to get from, like, hovering over military bases and Trump's golf course and things like that?
He says it's fear, it's intimidation.
Oh, it's just basically that. I get it. Yeah, right. They want to see if people will just go batshit crazy if all of a sudden there's spaceships from, okay, and how they would be able to manage that.
He says, think of it like a narcissistic relationship. He goes, think of it that way. So if you're in a relationship that's deeply abusive and narcissistic, he says, and he's speaking as humanity being in a relationship as a collective with a narcissistic abuser. And that abuser has conditioned you for a long period of time to believe that the reality that you're living in and what you see is exactly how things are. And so you would believe that something is out there to get you, out there to hurt you. You start to, and he says, purpose to dropping dimes in front of people, like as a metaphor of, yes, there are ETs. Yes, there are things out there. Yes, we know. And it's like putting these spoon feeding.
Okay, blue crumbs.
Information. Now he says the truth is, that is true. Of course, we do know that there is life out there, and we do know that that is becoming more and more a part of our reality and what we are experiencing as a whole, not just as individuals. But here's the catch. He says, with this is, and he's calling what we're seeing right now as minor in comparison to what they hope to roll out. He's talking about like holographics. So there's things that, I know this sounds absolutely crazy, but he's showing me like Star Wars, like the Empire Strikes Back with like beams, red beams, and like noises and all kinds of things. Like he says, it's like a buildup. So the reason why he's using a narcissistic relationship is it's like gaslighting. It's like saying that, you know, we're here to protect you. We're going to protect you. And there's these bad things out here. But don't worry. There's nothing to see. We've got it under control. And Erik is making it very clear. Remember, this is not a one side against the other. These energies that we're speaking of that are involved in this way are peppered amongst everywhere.
You mean ETs?
Yeah. The group. And he says there is a nefarious or a heavier vibrational entity that does work through the which he says that this program.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, now this orange orb-like thing that hovered next to a drone and then looks like it crashed into it and the drone just plopped to the ground. What was the why did it destroy the drone? Was accident? It looked like it must have been extraterrestrial.
Yes. So what he's saying is it has to do with the, like he says, the vibration. It's like shutting off its source, its fuel source, its
Okay.
battery. It's like once it comes into that field, he says, think of what happens when you get into higher vibrational locations. When he's saying to me, like when we're channeling and electronics stop working.
Oh, yeah.
Same idea.
Well, why did they do that? Did they mean to do it to the drone?
No,
Okay.
no.
According to mainstream reports, the Air Force is understandably bewildered and caught off guard by this. But behind closed doors, what are the leadership's real reactions? Are they surprised are they as surprised as they seem? Or do they know something or do they know something we don't? So the answer to that is yes, some. Most people don't, and some of the president and others in that dark special programs do.
And he says, remember, a lot of the leaders have information, but he says, we're speaking of a certain type of corruption. Like he says, this is a very deep, threaded conversation. And so he says, so having awareness of something doesn't mean you have control over it.
That's true. Why did Mitt Romney, I didn't know this actually, all of a sudden step down in the midst of this drone UFO situation? Or was it just coincidence?
No, he says not coincidence. He says it's having information, and he's doing like hands up, like I'm out. I'm not part of this.
Okay.
I don't want to be part of this.
Because of the the ET aspect of it, or because of the dark programs aspect, or both?
He says, yeah, we could answer it in that way, yes. But it's having knowledge and not wanting to participate any further with
I gotcha. Does he know about aliens, the existence of aliens?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are aliens actually having meetings with the people that are in this program, giving guidance, etc.?
Yes. Some of it has been information that's happened quite a while ago. Okay. So is there guidance that's happening directly now? Erik says yes, not directly, not like face-to-face physical information. Yeah.
Okay. Are these drones, any of them, gathering information that will be used against us as Americans?
Well, he says, in speaking of the terms and the way that we just did about this group, that overall the idea is, and he says, being looked at as livestock, and how do we control?
Oh my God.
He says that's the most blunt way of saying it.
Yeah. All right. Have any of these been shot down and studied or taken down?
He says smaller ones, and he's actually saying, so it's not a civilian one. It's not one of these, not part of the ops, and he also says staged.
Oh, staged to take down?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Were these like for an adversary? Was it for an adversary drone?
No, he says it's internal.
Okay. Are any of these from China, Russia, the Middle East, North Korea?
So he is identifying from Middle East, but he's not saying China or Russia.
Okay. What's the purpose of the Middle East? I guess Iran, maybe? And what's that purpose?
He's saying opportunity, taking opportunity. He says intel, gathering information.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
How many are there total of all types?
He says of the drone types, there's 4 different
Okay.
types that are up there.
Okay.
That includes civilian
Okay.
as well.
Okay.
Mhm. He says when we're speaking of what we would consider actual UFOs,
Yeah.
orb-like anomalies,
Mhm.
he says there's 8 different ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
What type of fuel do they use? Lithium batteries? Let's talk about just the man-made ones right now.
Okay. So he says some of the more sophisticated ones are like jet fuel,
Okay. Wow.
hydrogen.
Okay.
He's saying like he's switching back and forth, like they have dual
Oh.
capability. So it's not just powered in one way.
The
Many
hybrid.
of them, yes, many of them are lithium, like type
Okay.
battery. Hmm. And of course, the other ones are like plasma.
That's what I figured. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
What are the sizes of these things? One report was it was as big as a minivan or a small car at the very least.
Yeah, some of them are quite big. He's showing me like looks like a small plane.
Wow. Okay. Like the drones we use in war, right? That size.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Is this our government's last try to stop the transfer of power to the next administration by creating a national emergency? Oh my gosh. I don't know how that would work.
He says that no, he says, well, timing always has something to do with it, because he says there's usually the timing has to do with taking advantage of an opportunity of the way the minds of everyone, like the way the collective is feeling. So he says that's more of it. It's not really that itself. He says it's more to do with where the consciousness is, because he says, remember, people, this is a war on consciousness. That's the truth of it.
Okay, I think we could fit this all into just one part. I just have like 6 more questions, 7, something like that. Are these a combination of actual UFOs and our technology? Maybe the UFOs are seeing what we are doing. Maybe the UFOs are seeing what we're doing. So we already said that some are UFOs,
Yeah.
some are alien, and some are regular. Some are reverse engineered from
Yes.
alien technology. All right, gotcha.
Right. Yeah.
Does this have anything to do with the so-called blackouts that were supposed to have occurred are supposed to occur December 31st? I didn't know anything about that. I mean, is that going to happen? Blackouts?
Erik is not. He's actually not saying that that's going to happen.
Okay.
Like he's showing me very small possibility that's actually going to happen. However, he does say going into 2025, there is possibility for blackouts. He also says, like infrastructure. Oh, that's interesting. He says he just wants to touch on like why New York, New Jersey, like why that area.
Oh, good.
And this is kind of somehow connected to this question, because he says like it's the economic infrastructure. It's going for also the people, and he's going back to 9/11, like things that have happened and how it's affected the people. He says the heart, and he keeps saying like the heartbeat of America and what has happened.
Yeah.
And so there's a reason why that area is targeted above just some of the locations.
So why? They're already traumatized as a collective, and
that's part of it. So why he was talking about the economic infrastructure is he says the blackouts. So is there possibility of us having that in 2025? Yes. He also says shutdowns, like banking system shutdowns. Now, he says it doesn't mean it's all connected to what we're talking about with the drones. He says, think of this as these different projects that have these offshoots.
Yeah.
And some of them are opportunistic, but he says it's trying to create panic in different ways. And so he says cutting people off from communication and ability to connect to their finances, like it's going for all of these different areas. And he says that's something that can happen, but he's not showing it as long lengths of time.
Okay.
He says think of it as rolling blackouts with
Okay.
technology.
Now, does Biden agree with this for that purpose, or is he not aware of the nefarious parts aspect?
Erik doesn't show me as him being directly involved in decision making with this.
Okay.
So even if there was
feel like
moments of awareness, he's not running the show.
Okay. Are the blacks okay? Blackout's gonna okay. So what's going to be the cause of the blackout? Taking out or tampering, cyber attacks with the electric grid, things like that.
Yeah. So the first thing Erik answered is it coming out that it was like hacking.
Okay.
Hacking attack. Yeah.
Now, at least 4 commercial airline pilots have encountered mysterious, colorful circular lights moving at extreme speeds through the skies above Oregon on or around December 7th. According to their reports, one was moving in a corkscrew pattern. Another one reported that it looked like an aircraft strobe. The lights are zipping toward us and back out toward the ocean, red in color, moving at extreme speeds. On another sighting, a pilot said the biggest thing that stood out was it was a changing direction. Usually things don't change direction unless it's an aircraft. And my question is, were these unidentified objects part of the drones or something else?
This is something else.
Okay, if something else, then can you please elaborate, Erik?
So Erik actually says there's many different, he's not saying it's directly connected to the Galactic Federation, but he says there's many different ET beings that are well aware of what's happening here. And he says that this particular group, and he's showing me there's going to be more of these type of sightings, and eventually they're going to be part of helping humanity connect with another planet in the future.
Done. Is there anything we can do to prepare besides live life in love, not fear?
He says, get to the basics in your life. Keep yourself aware. He says, he's talking about what do you need for your vibration. Eat as healthy as you can. Keep yourself nourished. Keep yourself grounded. He says, do your best not to travel down too many deep, dark rabbit holes.
Yeah.
Because he says, we're going to see that a lot of things that have been listed as, he's putting a hat on, like with tinfoil bunny ears. Yeah, he says, we're going to see that there's truth to a lot of the things that have been looked at as the tinfoil hat wearers.
Yeah.
But he says the thing is that you have to be in a very grounded place to really look at a lot of these things, or it can take you away from your own life. Yeah. And he says, and when you do that, you're leaving yourself open. And when things happen, and he says, that's the mission. That's the idea. Let's get them all worked up and following down, because they'll do it to each other. They'll go back and forth with each other. And he says, so how about stay in your own lane as best as you can. Live your life. He says, live your life. Be in your life. And he says, this is going to be a year, 2025, where we're going to see a lot of strange things. A lot of weird things are going to take place. And he says, most people feel it. And if you're watching this, he goes, likely you have already a lot of information and are preparing for this. But he says, remember that you're also preparing for a lot of people in your family and community as well. Because there's a lot of people that will be not very grounded through some
Yeah.
of these things.
Need to help each other. So when you say prepared, does that also include practical aspects? Like, do we need to stockpile food and other things for survival?
He says if you can do it, you should have yourself at least a couple months supply of canned goods. He says have water, and he says like this should be done no matter what, because there are
natural disasters.
He says things that are unexpected. He says get into the habit of making it a normal thing within your family, within your community, to have a safety plan. Hey, if the we call it hydro here, but if the power goes out, let's meet here, or who can provide what. He says the idea here is coming together as communities and families to help support each other.
Absolutely. So, good lesson, really. And it's perfect for the age of Aquarius, the age of unity, right?
He says, guys, this is the golden age.
Yeah.
We're at the beginning of not only energetically being in it, but we're at the beginning of actually physically seeing things. And he says it's very exciting, but it's also, he says, it's daunting and takes a lot of courage to walk through these days. And so he says, be there to hold space for other people. He says, have some cash on hand. Be ready to help a neighbor, but don't walk in fear. Don't do it in fear. He says there's nothing to fear.
I don't think there is either. So is full absolute disclosure coming soon?
No, he says it's going to come in bits and pieces.
Okay, yeah.
But
there's nothing to fear when full disclosure happens, right?
No, because what he's saying is, and he really wants to make a point of this, because he says, a lot of people are like, let's just get on with it. Why aren't they just coming out and saying, I
know, I'm one of those people.
Right. He goes, but remember, Mom, he says, you've been in this mindset and understanding for quite some time. And he says, so can you remember back to the time when this was all brand new?
Yeah.
Thinking about ETs and all of that. He says, so everybody bring yourself back to that time, because there's a lot of people in the world. And he goes, and I mean today, that really have no idea that there's a conversation going on.
Yeah.
And he says it would create a panic and a mayhem that would be very difficult to get under control. And so that's why having these conversations and why it's happening in so many different ways is a way for it to work into the energetic field of humanity.
Anything else you want to share, Erik? Or Michelle, if you want to ask any other questions of your own, feel free.
Actually, this is interesting. He says, if anybody is wondering how they would like to, if they like to connect with some of these ETs, if they would like to get in more contact with their ET family, he says, a tip for you is to ask them to start communicating with you in your dream state.
Oh, okay.
And he says, he's showing me, write it out, write a letter, ask some questions, and take that piece of paper, fold it up, and put it under your pillow. And he says, and just wait until something happens and see what starts to come out, because there's many different ways that they're communicating with you.
That's cool. All right. Hi, alien family of mine out there, whoever you are. And thank you, guys. Please thank your alien family, too. Send them love. And I would love for you to give this a thumbs up. Please do that. Hit the like button and subscribe. And hit the notification bell, because you don't want to miss anything awesome from Michelle like this. So check her out in the description box below. And love you guys. Love you, Michelle. Love you, Ed.
Mom.
Bye.
Bye.
Very cool.